So the good news is that it's February the 8th, and there's only 3.5 months left of this season. Like, how many times can we sit through this and watch Man United do this? It's just grating. It's draining. It's really, really difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. At the moment, it is just a chore watching this Man United team at the moment. Just scraping by, beating Leicester 2-1 with a goal that was offside from Harry Maguire in the 92nd minute at Old Trafford on Friday night. United through to the FA Cup fifth round, but goodness me, this is a slog. It's a real chore. It seems like everything is just miserable at the moment, and you're scraping by not only Southampton in the Premier League just a few weeks ago, but also Leicester City getting outplayed maybe for large parts of the game, and just scraping through some late salvaging goals. It's a chore. It's really difficult at the moment, and I get that, and I'm feeling it too. I'm feeling it just like you. If you're watching this or listening to this, I'm sure you are feeling the same. It's really difficult to kind of keep your chin up at the moment and go into each game and think, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen next, because we're just getting served up the same old stuff every time, and it is not very good, is it? But look, never too high, never too low. This is the Promised Land podcast with me, Scott Saunders, talking all things Manchester United. Just a bit of a quick reflection on the Leicester FA Cup win today, and trying to understand some of the decisions that were made by Ruben Amorim, and trying to understand why performances are like this at the moment. Because, like I say, everything is really difficult. I'm not going to sit here, and I do try and like bring things down into the middle when people are kind of losing their minds about things that United are doing and aren't doing. Maybe not I don't need to do that today, I guess, but look, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It is difficult to talk positively about United at the moment. It is a real chore. But yes, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can subscribe on any other audio channel or platform as well. If you'd like, please leave a 5-star review if you like the content, and please subscribe on YouTube as well and leave a comment there. Had plenty on the videos that I've done recently, and I'll be referring to one or two in this episode as well. So please get involved and like the stream as well, or like the video. And get in touch and subscribe to the channel and support the show if you would please do so. It's difficult. It is incredibly tough to talk positively about this at the moment, but there are so many decisions and so many things that are happening that you can't really make head nor tail of. I think this was the day where Patrick Dorgu, the left wing back signing who was arriving from Lecce just last week, made his debuts, thrown straight into the first team. I think most of us / all of us, definitely me, expected him to start at left wing back, because we've been looking at United crying out for width. And what do you know? You get 45 minutes of Patrick Dorgu selected at right wing back when he's left-footed. And you don't really understand when you're looking at it why this happens, what Ruben Amorim's trying to do. And I said I was going to mention a comment. Steve Hugg yesterday saying, I'm watching the Leicester game right now, and I'm done with this manager. We signed a left wing back, and he's playing him on the right, still playing Dallo on the left. I can't back this guy when he's doing mindless stuff like this. Like, I get it. I understand that. It's incredibly weird and difficult to kind of get your head around. But I think, I suppose my job here is, in my own kind of mind, is to try and come up with a reason why this is happening. So Carl Anker asked Ruben Amorim in the post-match press conference, if you look deeper than the line that he says about Y Scout, which is the latest thing to send social media into meltdown, he was smiling and joking as he said it. But silly stuff. Just, I think, staying out of online madness and debates and getting riled up is probably the best way to go about it, but it's just part of life nowadays. Ruben Amorim said to Carl, great question. Sometimes you need a left foot on the right side to connect in a different way. Sometimes you need a right footer to connect and cross more balls. And I think he did say, Amorim, in that question or in that press conference, that we will see more of Dorgu on the right side. And look, I think we all expected this really to be the answer going forward, having watched Diogo Dalot play on the left for the last few months and seeing the lack of width that he offers, and I think it's just if you were to look at United's averageness at the moment, I think you could look at Diogo Dalot invariably and think this is a summary of United at the moment. Not to kind of put Dalot down too much, but I think that's maybe indicative of the level that United are. And look, maybe I'm being mean to Dalot there, but when I watch him, I'm kind of with Steve there. It's a chore. It's really difficult to kind of stomach this and understand it. But here is my thought process behind this, given what Amorim has said about Patrick Dorgu playing on the right side. So you know that we all look at this and think United are desperately crying out for a left footer on the left side, because I think it's Nuno Santos is his name. He was one of the most proficient attacking outlets for Sporting under Ruben Amorim. He is a left winger converted back to a left wing back. And I'm just going to try and drag up, I probably should have done this before I started. I'm just going to try and drag up his numbers from last season. You are looking at a player there in Nuno Santos, right, who played 31 Liga Portugal games last season, scored 4 goals and got 12 assists. You know, the type of player like Alex Grimaldo from Bayer Leverkusen, or you can maybe put Nuno Santos in this category as well. 18 assists he had in total last season with 6 goals, and this is a left wing back. So we're looking at a left winger who's been converted into that left midfield / left wing back role, and his job mainly is to attack. And I think we all looked at Dorgu and thought, yeah, he's going to be the answer to that problem. And I think long term, he probably will be that. He probably will be that. But I think what Ruben Amorim is also looking at, and if you look at the teams that he's played previously with the likes of Sporting and the links that United have had with Giovanni Kender over the last week or so, whether they go and sign him or not in the summer, it remains to be seen. But I think he's talked up as United's main transfer target, 17 years old, turning 18 in, I believe, April, and should be, if United can find a good deal for him, highly rated. I've seen some comments on recent videos saying this player is, a massive talent and really one for the future. I think as much as we can look at the left-hand side and think there's a lack of width out there, the right-hand side is as important, and Giovanni Kender is a left-footed player who is also a winger who's been converted more into a right wing back under Ruben Amorim at Sporting. So I think Ruben Amorim will look at him and then think, I want you to be the answer on this side, but you can't play every single game. And then I need a natural left footer on the other side. And as the team transitions and the team grows and players start to understand their positions a lot more, then maybe that's more of a permanent fixture that we'll see. And Dorgu will be more of a left-sided player. But Amorim has openly said in the post-match after this that he wants wingers who can play on both sides. And I think he used the word wingers as well, not wing back. I think he looks at them and thinks of them as wingers. He wants them to be able to play on both sides. And Patrick Dorgu has played on the right wing for Lecce for most of the season so far, even though he started, and when he broke through into the team, he was playing mostly on the left. That's just what Dorgu is. And then Ruben Amorim makes jokes about Wyscout. One person kind of takes the one line, tweets it, and then everybody loses their mind about, oh, he's checking Wyscout. Has he not got any more, has he not got any more kind of foresight than just like looking at a website like that? I don't know. I think you kind of need to look at the big picture here and understand that Amorim is trying his best to find pieces and parts which he knows players can do moving forward, so he can change things around. I think we all look at this and then we think, I just want to see something consistent. I want to see a regular 11 playing, and a regular 11 which is I can understand. But maybe Amorim is looking at the players that he has and is thinking game to game as well. This is something we criticized Erik ten Hag for. He didn't have the real flexibility or foresight to go and change. He was very adamant to stick to the plan that he had in his last 18 months or 16 months or wherever it was. He stayed with what he was trying to do, and it just looked like an amalgamation of awfulness. But it's with Ruben Amorim, I think what we can take from these comments that he said, I'll just repeat the quote again. Sometimes you need a left foot on the right side to connect in a different way. Sometimes you need a right footer to connect and cross more balls. So I think that indicates to me that this is more of a game-to-game thing. So he's going to look at the opposition that United are playing, and he's going to make certain picks based on what the opposition do, how the opposition set up, where the opposition are strong and where the opposition are weak. So Patrick Dorgu played 45 minutes and he was taken off at halftime. I don't think it was because of particularly any poor performance or anything like that. I think it's just a case of he's had 3 trainings, as Ruben Amorim likes to say, 3 training sessions, and it's a bit more of a challenge for him to kind of get up to the speed of English football. And this was essentially, and I know it's not a Premier League game, but this is against Premier League opposition. The intensity tends to be, high enough. And it can, especially with the atmosphere at Old Trafford at the moment, which I think is affecting all of the players, to be honest, just because of the dread that comes with going 1 goal down, which is invariably what happens. It's, I think he was protecting him in a sense. Look, United have got now over a week or so to train and to practice more and to put stuff into practice over ahead of the Tottenham game, which is next Sunday. United don't play until then, thank God for that. But yeah, look, we'll see. I think United are going to have to do a lot of training or work on the training pitch over the next few weeks and months. And that's just the way that it is. And I think we're all going to have to bite the bullet and be patient, because there's not any signs really that this is going to turn around any time soon. I think Amorim I think he felt like the rest of us did after watching that game. He really did. He was not happy at all. Whereas other managers in the past have said, yes, look, we won a cup, and this is the proof that we are, we're still relevant and we're still competing even while we're finishing 8th in the league. Amorim, so other managers maybe would look at that and then think, oh, we got over the line in the end. Great feeling for the team. Let's try and build from here. Whereas Amorim's looking at what he's seeing, and he's not seeing the fundamentals. He's not seeing the intensity is so down. It's so down. It's so obvious. It seems like every football team that plays Manchester United at the moment wins every second ball for certain periods of the game, is faster, is fitter, is more technically proficient, is calmer. And I don't exactly know what it is. Maybe it's a bunch of maybe it's pressure that the players are feeling because their record at Old Trafford is so poor, and it's weighing on their minds. Harry Maguire even admitted that in his post-match press chat on the pitch with ITV. And look, it's really, really difficult to kind of follow along with. We're all seeing the same problems. We're all seeing the lack of intensity. We're all seeing square pegs in round holes. We're all seeing good performances one week and then 3 awful performances afterwards. We're all seeing players really not knowing what they're meant to be doing. But I think if you're losing faith in Ruben Amorim at the moment, I think it's maybe the wrong time to do that. It's just because you only have to look at how he conducts himself and what he says and how he's saying it to know that this is nowhere near what Ruben Amorim wants to see. It is nowhere near it. And this is going to be a difficult slog of 3.5 months or so of grinding through every game. The only positive you can take is that United don't play for another 8 days as I record this now, so we can have a bit of a break and a bit of a brain break, and some players can go ahead and train and practice what Ruben Amorim is telling them on the pitch. But I think everything is underlined by the lack of intensity in this team. The first half was so bad, so awful. And if you're paying tickets to go and watch that in the cold, in the rain, and you know what you're going to get out of it, honestly, it's what must you be feeling? What must you be thinking at the moment? It's such a chore. It's really tough. But I think this is just, like I say, on most episodes, this is just where United are at the moment. And we all want to see massive improvements straight away from Ruben Amorim. And we can look at the team that he's picking and think that they're not improving enough, which they're not. Nobody's happy with that. United are 13th in the league and getting into the later rounds of cup competitions or whatever, but it's a real difficult slog. It is a real difficult slog. But I think the important thing is to know that Ruben Amorim is going to probably look at each game and the opposition and change certain things based on how he thinks he can beat the opposition. We're not seeing it at the moment at all. We're not seeing it, but that is going to be his approach. It's going to be he's going to want players to be flexible, and especially those two wing backs, especially those two. But I think United are going to need more than just one answer there. And look, I don't know what it is. The intensity needs to improve. And Amorim's going to know that as well. He's training them. You only get to see Lenny Yoro's interview with Rio Ferdinand this week to know that if you don't train well or don't train 100%, he'll kill you, or whatever he said along those lines. It's the demands are higher. It's just we're not seeing the output on the pitch at the moment, and it's hard to have hope and hard to think that this is going to turn around when you see performances as awful as that. But there are some positives, and there's not many. But I'll be back in just a second to talk about them. There's not a lot of time to go and praise loads of players after a performance like that. But I think one or two players did really change the game. I suppose three if you count Harry Maguire, given he scored the winner, which was offside in the 92nd minute. But look, I think I talk about the lack of intensity and the lack of fight, which just seemed to grasp the team and often seems to grasp the team. They don't really ever have it until something seems to change, or there's a catalyst for change. And I think that catalyst for change in this game was Alejandro Garnacho. Now, he's been the talk of the town. He really has over the course of the January window, and whether he would be sold to Chelsea or Napoli and how much United were holding out for him. I think that's a separate conversation, and the club with the off-the-pitch issues and the losses that they're making and the PSR difficulties that they have. I think this is a conversation we're probably not going to get away from. But if there is anybody that recently has seemed to have taken messages on board and is bringing positives to the team, I think Garnacho is definitely one of those players. He still needs to work on some of the decision-making that he kind of goes ahead with in certain moments. There was a moment where he got to the opportunity of taking a shot on goal or crossing it, and he shot it just at the side netting while there were players waiting in the middle. The shot was really poor. But Garnacho came on, and almost instantly, you could just feel the difference in the performance levels, and it was all fundamentally led by him, because he's never been scared of picking the ball up and driving at players. Even if he gets tackled 9 out of 10 times, he will keep coming back. He will keep trying to directly force the opposition backwards. He'll keep trying to take on his players. And he did have quite a fair bit of success in this game against Leicester. And it was he kind of grabbed the game by the neck and, forced the issue in a sense. And maybe we don't really want to see that, but in terms of like losing your head and kind of going a little bit over the top to try and force something to happen. But I think he did it in a good way. I think what Garnacho brought to the table against Leicester was the intensity that I think everybody needs to bring every single time. And I think that's the frustration for Ruben Amorim, because we're not getting that. We are not getting it, and there are probably reasons for it. Harry Maguire, again, I've mentioned him already in his post-match interview, said, I can't really explain it. If I knew, I'm sure we'd change it. But it just seems like the weight of everything that we're feeling watching these games at the moment, everything that we're feeling with the negatives and with the hangover and with the pressure of United being in 13th in the league, and with the pressure of things not really changing. This has been the most miserable season I can remember, and last season was the most miserable season I could remember before that. Somehow this has been worse. But it just seems like there's such a massive weight on the football club at the moment, and everybody's feeling it. And I think the players are included in that as well. So it's just difficult to kind of, and I'm not sticking up for them. I think they should really be able to kind of grow above this and implement the passion and desire that I think everybody wants them to see in matches. But for some reason, it's just not happening at the moment. And Garnacho, for whatever reason, he came on. Maybe he's got a point to prove. I know he's not happy about not starting matches and not finishing matches, and maybe what he's trying to do is show that he deserves to be starting matches, and maybe he will start the next game given the performance that he put in this time around. But it can't only be one player that is making the difference. It has to be, and maybe this is on Amorim, and maybe he's frustrated that he's not able to extract the right intensity out of the team and the right kind of force and desire out of the team. That's on him. It absolutely is. But I think there's so many kind of factors which are draining the club from. Yeah, you see kind of passes going backwards and fans getting frustrated. It's kind of a dog eat dog kind of thing, or if that's the right word. It's always kind of it's a vicious cycle. Let's just say that it's a cycle that kind of United need to break. And I think when we're talking about players taking leads and making impressions, I think more players could really look at what Garnacho did last night and take a lesson or two from the desire and the fight that he showed and the intensity that he just brought in. When he would pick the ball up, he's got like several different speeds he can go to. He's got great acceleration. His dribbling and his footwork it can be a little bit erratic at times, but at least he's got that kind of drive and acceleration to go and beat players. And that is, in the end, what turned the game and what won the game for United. I think United probably would have won going into extra time because Leicester were looking to get tired, and Garnacho, maybe the fact that he was fresh and he was coming on against a tired opponent made the difference as well. But it was a really good night for him. And I think he's doing all that he can at the moment to force his way back in. I think the way that he's reacted to getting dropped in the Manchester derby and all the speculation that's been around him, he's got his head down. He's tried his very best to deliver the best performances and to prove a point to Amorim and to everyone that he is worth persisting with and he is worth starting matches. And it should be done on merit, right? So you'd think that the fact that Garnacho came in and played as well as he did and changed the game as much as he did should mean that he's folded into the first team for the next game. We'll see whether that happens or not. And his attitude and his intensity was infectious on the rest. So I think we saw a much improved performance in the second half. And I'm not going to say United deserved to win the game because maybe they didn't. But towards the end, as soon as United scored that first goal through Joshua Zirkzee, it was, and Zirkzee really helped as well, by the way. I should mention that. I think if we're talking about players that maybe deserve to start, you look at Rasmus Højlund and the fact that I think there was an instance of like 2 or 3 times where in the same 10-second span he was played the ball and he lost it. It's if you can't kind of have your striker, keep the ball and stick with it and build attacks from him, then you're not really going to get up the pitch all that much, even though, as Amorim says, the players around him do need to help. I think Zirkzee and Garnacho, more consistently than maybe most others at the moment, are showing that they deserve first team places and starting places. So hopefully on a hierarchy, which is going to change game to game, I think they are 2 players that really are staking good claims for first team places at the moment. But equally, this can change very, very quickly. And we all looked at Kobbie Mainoo, and I tweeted this the other day. We looked at Kobbie Mainoo playing against Fulham and playing in the Europa League in the number 10 role. And we were kind of lauding him for being a difference maker, getting a goal and assist in the Europa League. And he gets that position back. And I think we saw not a great performance from Kobbie Mainoo in this case. So, it's a case of there's not a lot of consistency wherever you look. There really isn't. And it's really difficult to stomach and difficult to kind of get your hopes up for and difficult to just follow this team at the moment. But like I say at the start of the podcast, there are 3.5 months left of this season. I don't want to be wishing it away because we do seem to be getting towards that point earlier and earlier with each season. But I think, as I say on recent episodes, this is not going to be a quick fix. And with the massive frequency of games and you know, disappointing results here and there. Yeah, it's tough, but I think you're going to have to really kind of come to terms with getting used to this, even though it isn't any easier every time you watch the. It's drab, it's poor, it's awful. But I think losing your mind on losing patience with Ruben Amorim and this kind of thing is just it's not really for me. I don't think it's something that we should be doing at this point. I think it's United just are where they are at the moment for the rest of the season. Things need to change. Specifically, you need more players and you need more young legs and more intensity to come into this squad to be able to lift the level and make sure that the intensity actually stays up for longer. We're not getting it at the moment, and I think that's just the way that it is. And it's a patient game. It has to be. And I don't like saying that because ultimately you want United to win every game, and the standard is that they should be winning every game. But we ain't there. We are not there at the moment, and it's tough. It really, really is. But get in touch with me on social media and get in touch in the YouTube comments as well. Let me know what you thought of the game, because I'm trying to make sense of things that Amorim is doing, and hopefully what I've said about what Amorim has said in his post-match presser about wanting different responsibilities for different players and different positions for different players, depending on the game that they're playing or the moment in the game. I think it's important to kind of keep that in mind, as much as we all want to see as much width as possible down the left-hand side, like the kind of width and attacking threat that Nuno Santos was offering at Sporting during Amorim's title-winning season with them. It's good, just going to take time, and it's a frustrating thing for everyone. And look, as much as I see this a lot, should have kept Ruud for the duration of the season and given Amorim the job in the summer like he wanted to, because the results and the awfulness that we're seeing is eroding faith in Amorim. At the end of the day, you could, maybe that is the right decision, maybe it is, but at the same time, we would still be going through this pain that we're going through now next season. Because Ruud van Nistelrooy would have come in and got the best out of the players that we know aren't fit for this system. And then Amorim would have been finding out everything that he's finding out about the team and his players next year when he joined. And it just pushes back the renovation of this team and this football club another 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is. So I think you just need to bite the bullet, and it's just going to have to be some pain for a little while. And I don't want to say that. I don't want that at all. I would love a break, to be honest. But this is the Manchester United of the modern day, and I think this is just a necessary thing that they're going to have to go through in order to come out the other side of it. It's going to get worse, or it is getting worse before it's going to get better. But I think don't give up the faith that it will get better in the end. There's lots of stuff that needs to be fixed and that is broken at the football club at the moment. But the football team's one of them. But fingers crossed we can see some better days ahead. This has been Scott Saunders from the Promised Land podcast. Please follow me on social media at _Scott Saunders on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave me a comment to let me know what you thought of the game and Patrick Dorgu's position and his deployment as a right wing back instead of a left wing back like we all expected and hoped. And please subscribe on Apple and Spotify as well for the audio. You can find the audio anywhere you might get your audio podcasts. And I'll be back early next week to talk more about whatever we're seeing in relation to United. Until next time, everyone, this has been Scott from the Promised Land podcast. See you soon.